6 Juliet Kilo Alpha testing. Mike 6 Juliet Kilo Alpha testing.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's doing well. Today I want to talk about this. This is the Kenwood TH-F7. This is an old radio, but I've recently picked this up second hand. It arrived the other day and I've had a little bit of a play with it, but I want to run through the tests I'm going to do to see, if this radio is any good. So this is a really nice little dual band radio, so it covers 2 meters and 70 sems. But what's interesting about this, why I grabbed hold of this as soon as I saw it, was the fact that it's actually got a wideband receive on it, so it can receive pretty much from DC right the way up to 1.3 gigahertz, and it's all mode as well, so it covers lower sideband, upper sideband, CW, FM, AM. It's amazing. I mean, the size of it, it's tiny, so it'd be a great little kind of communications receiver, for monitoring stuff and keeping an eye on the bands. That's if it works. So it does work. I've already tried it. I've programmed my local repeater and the call-in channel for 2 meters in here as well so far. The antenna looks a bit screwed, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if you can see this from the video, but it's not great. It doesn't feel great either. And also, I know I can get into the repeater easy using normal handhelds like this modern Yaesu FT5D. A little bit scratchy, but... So there's obviously something up with this antenna. No, it's not working. Also, see the backlight is dropping quite a lot. That's making me a bit worried about the battery. It's not even receiving the repeater. Right, okay, let's get to work. So antenna off, probably going to end up in the bin. I'll take the Yaesu antenna off of here, and then I'm going to stick it on here. Looks okay. Looks like there's been a lot of activity on this. It's got a little bit rough around the edges, but I think that centre pin's probably okay. Get that on there, and let's try the repeater on that one. Yeah, see, that's working now. So yeah, antenna's shot by the looks of things. I could stick that on an analyzer, but you know what? I can't even be bothered. So next up, what I'm going to do is have a look at the battery. So here it is. It's a decent sized battery actually, 1550 milliamp hours, so 1.5 amp hour. It's not bad for a radio of this age. It's pretty chunky as well, and it actually makes up most of the size of that radio. Look how tiny that is, and it's got a full band receiver in it. Unbelievable. So let's see what the voltage is. It's been on charge on the radio, it's shown 8.3. Should be probably 8.4 when it's fully completely charged, but for all intents and purposes, that's been on all night, and that is basically charged. So what I want to do now is give it a little capacity test to see if it's still delivering that 1550 milliamp hours. I mean, it probably never did, but let's see how close it is to that after how many years of operation. The radio itself is in pretty good nick, not bad at all. So I don't think it's been, heavily used, but we'll find out. It's just the fact that display is dimming when you key up, and that kind of doesn't fill me with much confidence about the battery. I mean, the design of the radio, it might just do that anyway, so we don't really know. But we'll just do this little battery test anyway and see how it goes. Right, now I've not done this before on this charger actually. The lowest you can go down to is 3.2 volts per cell, and obviously I can set 1 amp as the discharge current. But we'll see what happens. I mean, we'll know pretty quickly if it's absolutely terrible and it only delivers like, half an amp hour or something like that. But I think 1 amp's probably, a sensible place to start. And yeah, so all I've done is just connected, just tape these wires to the terminals. There'll probably be like a BMS in that battery to prevent it going from, too low. It might not be though, it might actually be in the radio, so it's sensible not to go down too low anyway. Right, so let's start the task. It'll panic because it hasn't got a balancing lead connected, and we'll just start trying to discharge it. So as soon as the current goes, you'll see the voltage start to collapse. Now we're at 7.6 volts for half an amp's discharge. That doesn't look terrible to me. Right, so look at this guys, look, 6.6 volts under a 0.6 amp load. Not great. That's gone up now because the charger will be doing a little break so that it can test the voltage of the battery briefly. It doesn't actually do it for very long, but you can see it kind of pulsing on and off. So 6.6, and then it will shoot up to 7.4 in a minute, or 7.2, and then the charger will put it under load. Now in the radio, I mean, if you look at that, this is only 4 watts. So So with all the inefficiencies and everything else, you're probably going to be drawing about 6 or 7 watts probably from that battery. So there's going to be more power drawn from this. This won't go any higher than 0.6 amps as well, this discharger, unfortunately, but you can see the voltage is going to be dropping pretty drastically. I will test the actual power output of the radio soon with the watt meter once that's finished discharging. Right, that's actually stopped. We didn't get much out of that because it's only set to 3.2 volts a cell. I've actually stuck it on the NiCad setting now because it will go a bit lower, down to 6.2. I just want to get a bulk of a discharge done so I can actually see, look, it's already dipping to 6.5. So it will drop from like 7.4 volts right the way down to 6.2 very, very quickly. So that is the sign that this battery ain't great. And remember, that's only at 0.6 of an amp as well. So within the radio, it's going to be drawing well over an amp, probably close to, I don't know, 1.5 or 2. So yeah, it's just going to be, the voltage is going to be collapsing. All right, guys. So it looks like we've hit the BMS. Look, it's only 1.1 volts shown. So the battery looks like it's shut down now. Not great. I know this isn't very scientific, guys, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge this now and see what we get back in it. I think it's come back to life. It's come back to life and it's shown 7.7 volts now. So the internal resistance is definitely knackered on this battery. Right, so put it back to charge mode, LiPo, 4.2 volts, 2 cell, 1 amp, go. Yes, and we'll see exactly what we put back into it, which ain't going to be a lot. Got my coffee. It's still going, just 100 milliamp hours. That's it, and it's going to be charged in a minute. See the current going down.
Yeah, very good, Chris. The name here is Rick.
Got some Canadians coming through. So finally, it's done. 143 milliamp hours. Yeah, so I mean, we knew that. This battery is knackered. Put it back on the radio. Let's test some power output of this radio. Okay, got it hooked up to the SWR meter. Put it on 70 sems, just above the cooling frequency, and we'll key up and we'll see what happens. I'm going to key up for an extended amount of time and we'll see if that forward power drops. There you go, look. As the voltage of the battery drops, we're dying slowly. M6JKA, just testing. You can see that? And it's going down. Going down, going down. It's going to carry on going down as it's going up and down. It's hovering around there. M6JK testing. Right, we're down to like 2.8 watts now. Okay, and the radio has actually turned off as well. So it's not turning on at all now. So that battery is doing exactly what it was doing on that charger in our test. It's gone down to like 1 volt. So the BMS has kind of protected the battery. So I think if we plug in the actual Kenwood charger into this radio, I think it should just come back to life. There you go. And then if we take that out, should remain on. Yeah, there you go. So we're back in business. So we'll get a new battery. There's some on eBay. I've just found them. So the other thing I wanted to try was to try and run it off the actual charger. The charger is sort of a charger stroke power supply, but it don't work. It just sort of overloads that immediately, and it won't do it if you take the battery off either. So you'd have to connect this to a power supply. I haven't actually got another one of these leads, so I can't try that, but it would work. It would work, there's no doubt about that. But it is quite refreshing to see we were getting 5 watts momentarily, so with a decent battery I think that will be home and dry. It's one of those dark miserable winter days today. Anyway, I've got a package here. And inside here, I've got a Yaesu YHA64 tri-band antenna. So this was the original antenna that came with like the old VX8 handhelds. Now I've got this because it's a tri-band antenna and the top actually unscrews. God, this brings back some memories. So the top unscrews, and what you can do is you can either fit on this extra piece here, which is basically turns that into a 50 megahertz antenna. This is a similar sort of antenna to what they used to give you with the Yaesu FT817, but this one's SMA, so it will just fit straight on top of that. So what's cool about this, it's got the threaded stud at the top, so you can just add a little crocodile clip with some wire and turn that into basically a HF antenna without having to, keep taking this antenna off the top of the radio all the time. So this is working okay on 77s. Mike 6 Juliet Kilo Alpha listening. So I'm going to test to see what the audio is like on this little radio by using the record function of the IC705. CQ2, Mike 6, Juliet Kilo Alpha, listening for any calls. And we'll listen to it back.
Kilo Alpha, listening for any calls.
So I just recorded some audio from the Yaesu to compare. So this is the Kenwood.
CQ2, Mike 6, Juliet Kilo Alpha, listening for any calls.
And this is the Yaesu.
CQ2, Mike 6, Juliet Kilo Alpha, listening for any calls.
So it actually sounds a bit harsher. I think I almost prefer the sound of the Kenwood. I'm not just saying that, but it just sounds a little bit more full-bodied.
CQ2, Mike 6, Juliet, CQ2,
See what I mean?
6, Juliet Kilo Alpha.
So now I'm just tuned into some medium wave broadcast stations, and this is actually picking these up on its internal bar antenna. Yes, this actually has an internal bar antenna in this tiny little package. Pretty amazing. And you can actually turn it on and off, so you can toggle between the internal bar antenna and the external antenna. Now this is a feature, you know, that used to be quite common on radios, but you know, you don't really see this now. So look, if we actually disable it, you see the signal drop. So it's actually, you know, picking this up. I'm quite near to these stations. There is a transmitter near me, so that would probably explain it. But that's so cool. You can kind of, you know, toggle between the two. I've got somewhere between 5 or 10 meters of wire. So let's see what we can hear. We're in upper sideband mode. There's a bit of CW. More CW. Let's come up to where the FT8 comes in. There you go, look at that. Look at the signal strength. Can obviously put it in fine mode. I always think FT8 sounds a bit War of the Worlds. Let's flick around and see if we can hear any voices. There we go.
Very sorry for butting in to our QSO, and his apologies out to Jacobo.
Germany. Sierra Papa 3 Lima, Papa Germany, calling CQDX CQ, CQDX3.
We're even getting some FTA on 80 meters with this bit of wire, just with this bit of wire. But I have actually picked up a bit of FTA on 80 meters, you know, in the evening on the internal bar antenna. Now that's cool.
Mike 6, Juliet Kilo Alpha testing. Mike 6, Juliet Kilo Alpha testing.
It's so cool that, isn't it? You can just use it as like a monitor in the shack. Just a handy little tool to have around. Really, really good little radio. So yeah, I'm not too fussed about the battery. You know, it was cheap, it was second hand. I can replace the battery. The radio in itself looks really good. I'm loving the audio. The sound of the audio actually sounds better than the Yaesu, I think. So we'll see what happens, you know, out in the field when I do some tests, you know, actually talking to people. I did actually have one try through the repeater, and this was about 15 miles away, and funnily enough, it was using that tiny little antenna. Yeah, I was probably about 15 miles away from the repeater, and I was getting in absolutely fine. But I couldn't talk for long, as obviously the power was just going through, you know, as I was talking. So I'm glad I figured that out before kind of going on the air. Anyway, guys, hope you've enjoyed this one. It's always interesting what you can find on the second-hand market, and you know, the newest stuff isn't always the best. That's the thing with ham radio, but that's the thing with the modern handhelds. They seem to be really focused on the digital side and GPS and all the other features. You know, so they're losing that wideband receive, which used to be on a lot of the old radios. So yeah, if you want something like that, you've got to look at the old stuff. It's really cool. The Yaesu FT5D does have a wideband receive, but it only receives in AM. I think they missed a trick there. Anyway, guys, that's it for this one. Catch you in the next.